Hi everyone, I'm Miss Angeline, and welcome to the third Flip Classroom lesson of 2014. In this lesson, we are going to talk about direct and indirect speech. Okay, before we start, you need to have your direct and indirect speech worksheet 1 with you. Okay, as we go through the lesson, the video, please fill in blanks as well as follow instructions accordingly. By the end of this Flip Classroom lesson, you will be able to say what is direct speech, what is indirect speech, as well as you will be able to change direct speech to indirect speech, as well as the other way around. So, what is direct speech? Today we have here with us Gabrielle, a cute little girl, and Gabrielle says, "I am starving." Okay, this is an example of direct speech. These are actual words spoken by the speaker and placed with speech marks, the double quotation mark as you commonly know it. So what is indirect speech then? The same thing, we have Gabrielle with us. Gabrielle says, "I am starving." So Gabrielle said that she was starving. We are reporting what the speaker has spoken without the actual words. So you realize there is a difference between direct and indirect speech. So let's try this out. See if you can identify whether the following sentences are direct or indirect speeches. Number 1. Sean said, "I'm going to school later." Make a guess if this is direct or indirect. I think it's pretty obvious with the double quotation mark, speech marks, dialogue marks as you call them. Okay, you will know that it is direct speech because you are quoting what Sean said. How about the next one? "It's painful," Lucy cried out. Okay, same thing with the clue here. You should be able to know that it's direct speech as well. Let's try the third one. Sean said that he was going to school later. Okay, because there are no speech marks, and that is not exactly what Sean said, because Sean wouldn't say he would say I. Okay, therefore this is indirect speech. Last one, Lucy cried out that it was painful. Okay, without the speech marks, and you are reporting what Lucy said, therefore it's indirect speech. Since you are able to identify what is direct and indirect speech now, we're going to move on. We're going to move on to changing from direct to indirect speech. You often have to change the tense of the verb in the spoken words. For example, a verb in the, sorry for the typo error, a verb, there, I've changed it. So for example, a verb in the simple present tense is usually changed to simple past tense in indirect speech. For example, "The milk is in the fridge," said Yi Ching. So when we change this to indirect speech, we will have to change. So we have to change it to, Yi Ching said that the milk was in the fridge. Okay, note that is changed to was, present tense changed to past tense when you change from direct to indirect speech. This is a very simple example. So we change tenses when we change from direct to indirect speech. Let me give you another example. We have Susan here with us, okay, and this is the library. Susan says, "I go to the library," Susan said. Susan said she went to the library. Okay, this is direct, this is indirect, and when we change from direct to indirect, you realize that go changes to when. So this is from simple present tense to simple past tense. If we move the other way around, Susan said she went to the library. "I go to the library," Susan said. This is the indirect, this is direct. And when we change from indirect to direct, we change the tense as well. From simple past tense to simple present tense. Using the same example of Susan, now she says, "I am going to the library." "I am going to the library," Susan said. This is direct speech because of the quotation marks. Not quotation marks, sorry. Speech marks. Okay, Susan said that she was going to the library. This is the indirect speech. "Am going" is changed to "was going." Present progressive, or if you know it as present continuous tense, is changed to past progressive or past continuous tense. If you the other way around, Susan said that she was going to the library. Indirect speech to direct speech, was going becomes am going. Past progressive to present progressive. So when it's the other way, we move in the other direction. The next example, Susan said, I have gone to the library. This is direct speech. When we change it to indirect speech, we change have gone to had gone. Present perfect to past perfect. If you notice, I'm trying to give you the different examples of the different tenses as we convert them from direct to indirect speech. The other way around, Susan said that she had gone to the library, so this is indirect speech. When we change it to direct speech, When we change it to direct speech, we change had gone to have gone. So past perfect, we change it to present perfect. Next, Susan said, I went to the library. So basically, it's in the past. I went to the library, Susan said. This is direct speech. And when we change it to indirect speech, went becomes had gone. Okay, this is a bit different. You don't change it back to present tense, but you move it up from simple past to past perfect. The other way around, do you think it works? So Susan said that she had gone to the library. Will it be I went to the library, Susan said? Okay, it does not work the other way around. Okay, if you recall, we had present perfect converting to past perfect in this example from a previous slide. Susan said that she had gone to the library, and when we change it to direct speech, I have gone to the library, Susan said. Okay, so therefore, this doesn't work the other way around like the others. Okay, just remember, past tense changed to past perfect, but past perfect is not equivalent to or does not change into past tense. If you're confused, don't worry. Just remember that the correct direction from direct to indirect, and you'll be able to do the other one. Okay, things to note when we change from direct to indirect or indirect to direct speech. Other than tenses, there are many other things that you have to change when you change from direct to indirect speech or the other way around. They are the pronouns, places, or time. Okay, you have a part of your worksheet that gives you important tips. When doing the next quiz, please take that into consideration. Okay, so please pause the video now. Resume the video only after you have completed quiz 1. Okay, in your worksheet there is quiz 1 with 4 questions. Take about 10-15 minutes to do. Okay, and once you're done, play the video and I'll go through the answer with you. Okay, welcome back. Now, as I go through the answers for the 4 questions in quiz 1, please mark your work. Okay, so the first question. Kristen said, I may be late for dinner tonight. That's direct speech. And when I change it to indirect speech, I change it to, Kristen said that she might be late for dinner that night. So how did I do it? Number 1, I changed the pronoun from I to she. Number 2, I changed the verb from may to might. And lastly, because I can't say Kristen said that she might be late for dinner tonight, because the reported speech, the indirect speech, might be said like 2 weeks later. So instead of tonight, I change it to that night. So it's a particular night in the past. Okay, so that's the first question. The second one, an earthquake has struck here last week, the tour guide told us. So direct speech to indirect. The tour guide told us that an earthquake had struck there the week before or the previous week. I change has struck to had struck. Present perfect to past perfect. Here to there, because you might not be in the same place anymore. Last week to the week before or the previous week, because you might not be reporting the speech on the same day. Third one, Mrs. Wu said the children are sleeping. When I change it to indirect speech, it becomes Mrs. Wu said that the children were sleeping. So here, we change present progressive to past progressive. Lastly, I watered the plants this morning, said Eileen. Direct to indirect, Eileen said that she had watered the plants that morning. The first thing I changed was the pronoun. I to she. Next, past tense to past perfect, if you remember, the one that doesn't work the other way around. And this morning to that morning. In general, we change this to that, no matter how is it used, okay, because it might not be the same reference point. Okay, so this is the fourth question. I hope you have gotten all four correct. Okay, now let's relook at our objectives. Have you attained whatever that we set out to achieve? Okay, the first one. Do you know what is direct speech? Okay, direct speech is using the exact words of the speaker in dialogue speech marks. Okay, indirect speech. It's reporting what the person has said, and it need not necessarily be the exact words. And lastly, I hope by now you are able to change direct to indirect as well as indirect to direct speech. So we will never have a flipped classroom without homework, right? So read through the page on important tips. Okay, they give you all the different conversion, and attempt the questions in direct and indirect speech worksheet 2 as homework. Your English teacher will go through the answer and clarify doubts in class. Okay, I hope that you have enjoyed this flipped classroom lesson. Direct and indirect speech is pretty complex, and I think you need more practice. So try worksheet 2. Ask any questions during class, and hopefully by the end of this week you will be able to change from direct to indirect as well as indirect back to direct with ease. Okay, it's not that difficult. It's like maths, you need practice. So this concludes my flipped classroom lesson. Okay, I hope you enjoyed it, and I do have a little bit of fumbling here and there, but I hope you enjoyed it. Thank you.